So there's a contrast in attraction that's deeply genetically rooted, and the mirror is scarcity and loyalty, and it doesn't have the same parallel, right? So like men value loyalty much more, and women value scarcity. So and on the same level, right? To the point where like there's not much that changes a man's attractiveness to a woman, like what he's attracted her for. But loyalty is one of those. Loyalty can move you up or down a point, as far as the attraction scale. It roughly equates to about 10%, we could say. Um, it in a woman's capacity to be loyal. So this is why men look for low amount of partners, because the higher capacity to be loyal, younger, higher capacity loyal. We look at how much attention you're trying to, how many dating apps you're on, and like all that's a turn off, or turn on your depending on your capacity, right? So that's one thing we look for. That's one thing women signal for. They've learned that, and you'll see purity signaling, that kind of thing. I can be very loyal. They'll be saying that in order to speak to our disposition. And the same can be said for perception of value from a woman's from a woman's perspective, right? The scarcity of a man, and it is part and parcel to his perception of value, right? Like the more space apart you have, the more she can look up to you, in a sense. The more attractive, the more women attracted to you, the more attractive you are to her. Um, to be chosen from many women, like you chose her, is more attractive, and it has to do with really genetics. Like we're hardwired to go after, from a woman's perspective, the highest value man you can attain for physical safety. It used to be in our genetics a life and death decision, and so they'll study behavior really intensely, and study internal character very intensely, for the sake of being able to merge with that man, to depend on him, to lean on him, and it really is status oriented, status in a society oriented. By contrast, we look for loyalty for the same genetic reasons, right? If you have other partners, other suitors, the likelihood that we are raising somebody else's genetic line is higher, and so that pollutes our own genetic line, right? The likelihood of conflict goes up. The likelihood of the lesser dependability, right? So like virgin marriages versus women with like 20 bodies or so, the virgin marriages are 80% more successful, or 80% successful, after 7 years, and the high promiscuity is like 20% likelihood after 7 years. And so, because our risk is oriented with long-term stability, we look for loyalty. That's even magnified today. But again, we don't want to have like one child with you, have you raising him, and then have another child and have to raise them as well. So there's deep genetic aspects to this. There's energetic aspects to this as well, right? Like from a spiritual perspective, we want a woman bonded to us, meaning high loyalty, in order to open her energetically. And women want a a powerful man, a man that has the capacity, that has experience with other women, to be able to handle her complexity and, you know, uh, redirect her from an internal storm and those kind of things. So there's psychological, there's spiritual elements to this yin and yang, but the common element is projection of your own love language onto the other person, right? So you'll see a lot of men go white knight and say, "I am so loyal. I'm the be the loyalest, most loyal man." Well, it's not really the most important thing for them, right? You're presenting yourself as you would want to be treated, or treating yourself as you, but it's a different dynamic. It's a different genetic orientation, um, and vice versa, right? So women will play hard to get, and women will flirt with other men to try to like get your attraction, get your own scarcity. She'll play the scarcity card a lot because simply because it's so important to her. So very interesting give and take and play between the two. But that is the parallel, and it's really almost like a different species. But when you understand the genetic orientations, you understand the spiritual, psychological dimensions. They all kind of align, and very interesting dynamic.